Have you ever walked into a room and instantly picked up on the smallest details, things no one else seemed to notice? Maybe you caught the shift in someone's tone, the way their smile didn't quite reach their eyes, or how two friends exchanged a quick glance that said more than words ever could. Most people rush through life without paying attention. But you notice. And that, my friend, is the first sign you're smarter than you think. Think about it. Some of the world's greatest thinkers and innovators weren't the loudest in the room. They were the ones quietly watching, piecing together patterns, and connecting dots others didn't even realize were there. Albert Einstein once said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." What he meant is simple. Intelligence doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It lives in the ability to observe deeply and see what others miss. Let me tell you a quick story. A student once sat in the back of a classroom. He wasn't the one blurting out answers or trying to impress the teacher. Instead, he watched. He noticed the teacher's habits, the rhythm of the lessons, even the mistakes other students made. When it came time for the big exam, he scored higher than everyone else. Not because he studied harder, but because he observed smarter. That student could be you. Here's the truth. In a world full of noise, being the silent observer is a superpower. While others chase attention, you collect information. While they're distracted by what's loud and obvious, you're piecing together the hidden story. And this hidden intelligence often shows up in everyday life. You sense when a friend is upset before they even say a word. You notice when something in your environment feels off. You pick up on patterns, whether it's in conversations, problems, or even opportunities others overlook. That isn't just sensitivity. That's intelligence in action. So, if you've ever thought, "I'm too quiet," or "I just notice weird details," flip that thought around. That's not a weakness. That's proof your brain works on a higher level. Because here's the secret. The ones who notice the most often understand the most. And understanding is the purest form of intelligence. And that's just the beginning. Because being observant is only one piece of the puzzle. The next sign? It's about how you take those observations and turn them into solutions. Before I move to number 2, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and like the video, number 2 is the problem solver's mind. Turning everyday struggles into creative solutions. Let me ask you something. When life throws problems your way, how do you react? Do you freeze up? Or do you start looking for a way through, even if it means thinking outside the box? Because here's the truth. Intelligence isn't measured by how many facts you can memorize. It's measured by how you handle problems. And if you're the kind of person who can take a mess and somehow make it work, you're way smarter than you give yourself credit for. Think about Thomas Edison. When inventing the light bulb, he failed over 1,000 times before finding a design that worked. Most people would have quit after 5. But Edison saw every failure as just one step closer to a solution. That's the heart of problem-solving intelligence. The ability to adapt, persist, and find answers when others see dead ends. Now let's bring this closer to home. Maybe you've had days when the bills didn't quite line up, and you had to get creative just to make it through the week. Or maybe your car broke down, and instead of panicking, you found a temporary fix that got you where you needed to go. Or maybe you're the friend everyone calls when their Wi-Fi won't connect, or when they don't know how to fix something simple. That's not luck. That's your problem-solving brain at work. Here's the secret. Smart people don't always have the answers, but they know how to find them. They're resourceful. They look at problems from angles others overlook. They connect ideas, improvise solutions, and test until something sticks. And you've probably done this more times than you realize. When life got tough, you found a way to keep moving. When someone needed help, you stepped in with ideas they hadn't considered. When a challenge seemed impossible, you broke it down into smaller steps until it wasn't so overwhelming. That's real intelligence. Not just surviving, but adapting and thriving. There's a quote that says, "A smart person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it." But I'll add something to that. The smartest people use problems as opportunities. They know that every challenge is a doorway to growth. So the next time you're stuck, remember this. The fact that you're even searching for solutions proves your brain is wired for more than you think. You're not just reacting to life, you're shaping it. But maybe you felt the opposite at times. Maybe you've thought, I overthink too much. I can't stop analyzing everything. What if I told you that flaw of yours is actually another sign of intelligence? Number 3 is the deep thinker. Why your overthinking might actually be a superpower, let's be real. Overthinking gets a bad reputation. People say it makes you anxious, stuck, or slow to act. But what if I told you that your tendency to think too much is actually proof of a powerful, intelligent mind? Here's the truth. Only a deep thinker can see multiple sides of a situation. Only a deep thinker can imagine all the possible outcomes before making a choice. That's not weakness. That's foresight. And foresight is intelligence. Think about chess masters. They don't just move one piece and hope for the best. They think 5, 10, sometimes 20 moves ahead. That's exactly what overthinking does. It allows your brain to map out possibilities others can't even see. Yes, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. But hidden inside that constant analyzing is your ability to strategize, prepare, and avoid mistakes most people blindly walk into. Here's a story for you. A young woman was once criticized by her boss for taking too long to make decisions. She would run through scenarios in her head, worried about making the wrong call. One day, the company faced a crisis, a massive error that could have cost them millions. While everyone rushed to fix it, panicking and missing key details, she paused, thought carefully, and spotted the one overlooked solution. Her overthinking saved the company. That's the power of a deep thinker. And if you recognize yourself in this story, if you're the one who stays up late replaying conversations, analyzing choices, or imagining different paths, it means your mind is working on a higher level. Now, let's flip the script on overthinking. Instead of calling it a burden, start seeing it as a tool. It means you notice details. It means you care about outcomes. It means your mind refuses to settle for the surface when it can dig deeper. Of course, balance is important. Sometimes you need to act. But the very fact that you think so deeply shows your intelligence is rooted in awareness, caution, and insight. Here's something powerful to remember. Shallow thinkers rush. Deep thinkers reflect. And reflection leads to wisdom. So the next time you catch yourself overthinking, don't beat yourself up. Smile instead. Because it's not a flaw. It's a hidden superpower that puts you ahead of the crowd. And speaking of being ahead, there's another sign of intelligence that most people overlook: the ability to understand others. Not just what they say, but what they feel. Number 4 is the empathy advantage. How understanding people reveals true intelligence. Have you ever noticed how some people just don't get it? They miss the emotions behind the words. They talk but don't listen. They see people, but they don't feel them. Now think about yourself. Maybe you're the one who senses when a friend is hurting, even when they insist they're fine. Maybe you're the one people vent to because they know you'll actually understand. That ability to step into someone else's shoes and feel what they feel is called empathy. And it's one of the strongest signs of intelligence most people underestimate. You see, emotional intelligence is just as important as book smarts. Some of the most successful leaders, innovators, and creators in history weren't the ones with the highest test scores. They were the ones who understood people. They knew how to connect, inspire, and communicate in ways that moved hearts and changed lives. Think about Maya Angelou's famous words. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's the essence of empathy. And if you naturally do this, it means your brain and heart are working together, a rare kind of intelligence. Let's make this real. Imagine 2 employees at a company. One is brilliant with numbers, efficient, and fast. The other is equally skilled, but also notices when a coworker is struggling, checks in, and encourages them. Who do you think the team trusts more? Who do you think gets promoted into leadership? It's the second one, because intelligence isn't just about solving problems, it's about solving human problems. And that might be you. You sense tension before it explodes. You read body language without even trying. You know when to speak and when to just listen. That's not weakness. That's intelligence, the kind that can build friendships, strengthen families, and even change communities. Here's something powerful. Empathy is like having a secret radar. While others operate blind, you can pick up on emotional signals that guide you toward better choices and stronger connections. It's no coincidence that many of the greatest negotiators, teachers, and healers are deeply empathetic people. Their intelligence isn't just in their minds, it's in their hearts. So, if you've ever felt too sensitive, remember this. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's proof that you're tuned in to a frequency others can't even hear. And this brings us to the final sign. Because intelligence isn't just about what you know today, it's about how hungry you are to keep learning tomorrow. The last sign is the lifelong learner. Why your curiosity is proof you're smarter than you realize. 5. The lifelong learner. Why your curiosity is proof you're smarter than you realize. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you fell down a rabbit hole of curiosity? Maybe you watched one YouTube video, and suddenly it was 3 hours later, and you'd learned everything about psychology, history, or how the brain works. Maybe you read random articles, listened to podcasts, or found yourself asking, why is it like that? More times than you can count. That, right there, is a sign of true intelligence. Smart people don't think they know it all. In fact, the smartest people are often the hungriest to learn. Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers of all time, famously said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." Think about that. The wisest man in ancient Greece wasn't proud of how much he knew. He was proud of how much he wanted to know. And that same fire of curiosity lives in you. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a young boy who struggled in school. Teachers thought he wasn't smart enough. But at home, he devoured books on science and math, staying up late just to figure out how the world worked. That boy, Albert Einstein. Einstein himself admitted, "I have no special talent. I'm only passionately curious." And that curiosity reshaped the way we understand the universe. Now look at your own life. If you've ever Googled something random just because you wanted to know, picked up a new hobby, skill, or interest out of nowhere, questioned old beliefs, and searched for your own answers, that's not boredom. That's intelligence driving you forward. Because here's the truth. Curiosity is the fuel of growth. While others stay stagnant, you're expanding. While they stop learning after school, you never stop. And that makes you smarter than you realize, because your brain refuses to stay small. So don't underestimate yourself. If you're always learning, always asking questions, always pushing yourself just a little further, then you're already ahead of most people. Your curiosity isn't random. It's a built-in sign that your intelligence is alive, growing, and limitless. And now you've seen all 5 signs. But here's the most important part. Intelligence doesn't always look the way we expect. It's not just grades, titles, or IQ scores. It's observation. It's problem solving. It's deep thinking. It's empathy. And it's curiosity. All of those live inside you. Which means you're smarter than you think, far smarter. Well, the next time you doubt yourself, remember, intelligence isn't always loud, obvious, or measured by tests. Sometimes it's hidden in the way you think, feel, and grow. And if you saw yourself in these 5 signs, then you're already smarter than you think. If this video gave you a new perspective, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs this reminder today, and don't forget to subscribe for more self-help content every week. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 signs felt the most true for you? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading every single one.